Hey Stinkies, welcome back to the channel. If you don't know, I stream a lot on Twitch and I obviously do stuff here on YouTube. But something that I get asked very frequently on stream, because I play a lot of MMORPGs, it's just a genre I really like. I've been playing it for forever. I get asked a lot of what I like to call the MMORPG debate. And someone always brings up that they don't think said MMO shouldn't be considered an MMO. And an example that I'll kind of give is I've had people do it for Final Fantasy XIV. Some people don't like to count Dungeons and Dragons as one, Destiny 2, things like that. So just my 2 cents kind of on the topic that might help clarify where people I think are getting a bit confused when it comes down to the genre. So I think a lot of people can agree that there was definitely a boom when World of Warcraft came out, right? A lot of people hopped into the MMORPG genre around that time. There are some people that were around for, say, like Asheron's Call. That's what I personally watched my dad play. Or EverQuest. Some people were hopped on that train when that was a thing earlier, prior to World of Warcraft, right? Well, I think it got stuck in everyone's head that just to be considered an MMORPG, which down to its basic functionality is a massively multiplayer online role-playing game, people forget that it's a genre and that not every little bit of said genre has to be identical when going from one to the other. So technically, when it comes to massively multiplayer online role-playing game, it doesn't mean that it has to be full-blown open world. Not to say that it doesn't have to be your cup of tea, and that's the thing to kind of keep in mind here, or that people forget, right? So again, the big example being brought up that some people don't like that at times Final Fantasy XIV is instanced, or people like to bring up that Destiny 2 has instancing as well as is also a shooter. And what the big thing I'll say with theirs is, again, MMORPGs down to their functionality is a massively multiplayer online role-playing game, right? Instancing doesn't necessarily ruin that. There's other medieval type theme too, MMOs that, for example, Vindictus, where it does have more so instancing. Dungeons and Dragons Online, it's D&D based, so there's obviously lots of instancing. It's based around dungeon mastering and puzzles and things like that, so you have to have lots of things instanced off in there. Final Fantasy XIV, just because of how the world is built and being cross-platform, it does have instancing. Destiny obviously has instancing, but if we were to negate it down to that no instancing is allowed to exist, well then where do you kind of draw the line? Because theoretically, World of Warcraft does have instancing because you teleport to other zones, right? So that argument I find to be quite a bit invalid. However, saying on the flip side that I personally do not like instancing in MMORPGs, or do not like to exist much, is a valid argument. But going on and saying that just because there's instancing in an MMORPG doesn't make it an MMO, or, you know, obviously abbreviating it from an MMORPG isn't valid, right? And then it would be the same for people saying that Destiny 2 is only an FPS game and is not an MMORPG. And where this, I think, people forget too, MMORPG does not have any specific rules in that it has to be medieval themed just purely because that is what we are used to, right? Other examples would be that Warframe is an MMORPG. It is definitely shooter futuristic based. It's not what we're used to, but it's still an MMORPG, right? I would say Destiny classifies as, even though there is instancing, it is still an MMORPG instanced, right? But is also an FPS. So at the top we have our tree, the MMO genre, right? At the core, a genre, right? That's what it falls under. However, it branches off down into several different things. So whether that be your medieval theme, your FPS theme, your instancing, or more open world, they can all fall down under those categories. Just because it's an MMORPG FPS doesn't mean it's all of a sudden not an MMORPG. So just something to keep in mind. Again, massively multiplayer online role-playing game, just as any other genre that there is. A couple of other examples, right? Single player games. Technically, because it is single player, it can have a huge world, something as, you know, massive as Witcher, or you know, it can go on to be even something as small, I would say, as like Minecraft. Minecraft's pretty big now, but it could be something as small as that you could play single player, or you could go on to play it in multiplayer, right? It really depends. There's a wide range, right? You know, you have single player survival, single player story mode, you know, role-playing game, single player role-playing game, single player survival, you know, things like that. And battle royales are kind of the same way at the heart. Just like MMORPGs, you have your battle royale, you know, and then you drop down to, do you like building or do you not, right? Or do you like something more realistic, right? And then you fall down to Fortnite, you know, being down that one path, and then I would say the others down the, you know, all the other ways. So again, I don't think MMORPGs are any different, but I think a lot of people, just because, you know, everyone can be like a bit of a diehard fan of their game, but knocking one and just saying all of a sudden it's not something under said category, you know, speaking based off of definitions doesn't make sense. But to say that it's not your cup of tea is a valid reason. Like, be like, I don't like that this said game has, you know, X, Y, and Z had more instancing in it. I wish it was more full-blown open world. Is fine, but saying that Destiny or like Final Fantasy or even like WoW, just because you teleport at times like to other zones or use the Zeppelin, right, doesn't mean that it's not, you don't just take away its MMORPG status, right? So, and if that is the case, and we want to go on more to decide, yo, there's a certain threshold of players on said server that dictate on if this is a massively multiplayer online role-playing game, then where does the line get drawn for players per server, right? If for some reason that was a thing. But again, if we're going to look at its heart, MMORPG is a massively multiplayer online role-playing game. It is the base. It is the base of the tree, and it has a bunch of different trickle-down genres of types that can fall under that genre category. So there's some food for thought. I see it debated all the time, and I always have to like bring this up. It's like, you can't just completely knock this game out of the category just because you don't like it or one specific thing about it. Just because something's more of a futuristic theme, right? I'm not personally, I don't like futuristic things in MMOs, but it doesn't mean that it's all of a sudden it's like, I don't like it because it's futuristic. It's not the normal thing. So yeah, we're gonna kick that out of the category. So at its functionality, that's what it is. So something to keep in mind when discussing MMOs in the future, and hopefully you can be educated on, if you're one of those people that brings up the argument that it's not an MMO, and if not, then I guess you can continue to be ignorant. But hopefully this has educated you on how to more properly go about these topics, and helps you become more educated and everything like that. So I hope you guys have a fantastic rest of your evening. And thanks for watching the video. Probably gonna leave this, no, I'll probably edit it or whatever a little bit, because I definitely slept up on my words a bit. But I'll keep this pretty bare boned for a video, just because I think it's something that's kind of cool to talk about, and why not? So thanks you guys for watching. If you don't know, I stream every single day on twitch.tv/Kruzadar. I'll go ahead and throw that up, edited on here. Just kind of a quick chop up video that I'm making this Thursday evening, because it's something that was discussed today on stream, and I thought it, topic to throw out there for YouTube. So, but yeah, all my social media as well is the exact same as my YouTube name here, KRUZADAR on everything. Super easy to find me. Feel free to tweet at me your thoughts or comment down below what your thoughts are on it as well. And just remember that if you like to throw something out of the category just because you don't like it, that you're wrong. And I'm not going to comment back to you. So, but thanks for watching, guys. I appreciate it. Feel free to leave a thumbs up. Hopefully you get a good kick out of this video. And it was a somewhat interesting topic to listen to. You have a good one. I'll see you in the next video, Sneakies. Bye.